guys, today we are going to be talking about signs of a low-key narcissist. So it's one thing to read a description of a narcissist on Wikipedia or in a textbook, but it's a whole nother thing to kind of spot out some of the more low-key red flags that you're dealing with a full-blown narcissist. So I'm here to kind of bridge the gap between sort of like a textbook definition of a narcissist and then narcissist in real life. So we're going to get into some of the top signs. This is advanced narcissist psychology. Like, there's obvious signs, which I'm also going to share, but there's some really low-key signs that if you identify them earlier, then you could just save yourself a whole lot of trouble in the future. So the first sign, and this is one of the signs that I personally noticed, is that you have to look at the language that narcissists use and pay attention to how they talk about other people, specifically their friends or family members. You will notice that narcissists talk about friends and people like objects, literally like they're objects. And narcissists make friends with people to benefit or gain in some way. So they use people. So you have to understand that when a narcissist becomes friends with this or that person, it's for a specific reason that's going to benefit them. Maybe this person works somewhere that they want to work, or they have social connections, or maybe they're really good looking and they like having like super hot friends, because a lot of narcissists are like that. They're vain and they want other hot people around them. Maybe it's for sex. So if a narcissist is in a romantic relationship, it's purely just to get laid, but there is a means to an end with narcissists and their personal relationships. They're not in relationships with people because they genuinely care about these people and they genuinely care about these people's well-beings. They're always putting themselves number one, and people are just pawns and means to an end. So you just pay attention to how they're talking about their friends, and it's kind of irksome when you actually start noticing it in people, because not everybody is a full-blown narcissist, but there are a lot of people with narcissistic qualities, or they're like partly narcissists, or they're kind of a mild case of a narcissist. So you'll see it in a lot of people just by paying attention to their language. That is definitely a red flag. The next is they expect to be treated like gold everywhere they go. So when they walk up in a club, they expect people to hit on them and to want to dance with them and to want to buy them drinks. This is like just for a narcissist who's a woman, for instance. But if like the male equivalent would be like a man walking up in the club and being like, biatch, I got this good D and all these women should want to be all up in me, and I am like God's gift to women. That's kind of like the male equivalent, like super egotistical and super like, yeah, duh, all these women are into me, and like expecting them to just like throw themselves at them. I've seen this. I've literally seen this with people. I went out with a girl once and she was very attractive, like, don't get me wrong, but she walked into the club like, bitch, look at me. And guys were trying to like just be nice to her and ask her to dance, and she would literally just completely disregard them like they weren't even people. Like, she wouldn't even look them in the eyes. She wouldn't even just like address them like they were real people. She was just like, ugh. Literally like, ugh. When people like asked her, she'd be like, ugh. So that is a huge sign that you're dealing with a narcissist. And the fact that she can't even like respond to people normally, that like she's just like, I'm a celebrity, paparazzi, like literally. The third sign is when you get a little bit more closer to narcissists and maybe you have a disagreement or you see things from a different perspective. Narcissists are not interested in your perspective. It's their way or it's the highway, and that is it. They are never wrong and they will never apologize. Narcissists will never admit to being wrong. It's never their fault. They're going to place the blame on something else or someone else if, you know, they actually are wrong, but they will never apologize. They will never compromise, and they will never, you know, they're just really difficult to deal with when you have a disagreement with them. So if you meet people that are highly disagreeable, and if they're wrong, they don't want to admit they're wrong, and they don't want to apologize, and they don't have any humility, zero humility, okay, to genuinely look at their flaws and their faults and want to genuinely improve, it's very likely that you're dealing with a narcissist. The next sign is that the rules don't apply to them. Obviously, there are rules in society and in social norms, and people are expected to follow them. Narcissists don't think these rules apply to them. So, for instance, they will speed, maybe they'll cut in line, they have no problem with ripping people off, they have no problem with bending the rules to benefit them, and they don't care about being right. Being a good person and having integrity and being right are not priorities for narcissists. They just want personal gain. So you're going to see them cutting corners and breaking rules like this. They're not necessarily going to be criminals, and they're not necessarily going to be like committing federal crimes, but they're going to do things like little things, like they're going to speed, they might drink and drive. That's illegal, but you might not get caught for it. So they're going to do things that have a little bit of a lower risk, like they might not get caught, but it's still wrong. Like, for instance, drinking and driving is wrong. You shouldn't do it. And if you were a good person with integrity, you would make it a priority to not drink and drive. It's really not that hard. But narcissists won't. And, you know, they'll drink and drive. They don't have any regard for the well-being of others. A lot of them don't tip, I find. They're cheap. And if no one's looking and if no one sees, they're not going to do the right thing when nobody is looking. That's my point. Okay, the next sign of a narcissist is that they're going to put other people in jeopardy for their own personal gain. Okay, so they're going to put friendships and relationships in jeopardy for their personal gain. So if they're climbing a social ladder, they're going to throw their friends under the bus in order to climb a social ladder, or even their family members. They might not care for the safety of others, maybe even their own children. You know, maybe they're in a divorce and they're fighting over their children, and they know that the other parent is a better parent and the children will be better off with the other parent, but they just want to get custody of the children because they want to win. And they don't really care about their kids' well-being. They just care about winning and being right and satisfying their ego. So it's just things like this. They don't have any regard for other people's well-being, so they're going to do all kinds of things that are going to put other people into jeopardy. The next sign, and this is also a very telltale sign, is when they argue, they are not actually seeking out the truth, they just want to be right. Okay, so I've met people like this. It drives me insane. They don't want to seek out the truth. They have no interest in it. They only want to be right. They don't want to be proven wrong. And if you find yourself in an argument with someone like this, forget about it. Don't even waste your energy on it. Nothing's going to come from an argument, from arguing with someone like this. So, like, I'll give you an example. When I was probably 13 or 14, I witnessed an argument between my neighbor and her son. I think it was her son. And she kept saying that Alaska was part of Canada. And, like, obviously it's not, right? We were like, no, it's not. It's an American state. It's just, yeah, it's like in the Canadian region, but it's not Canadian. And she just was arguing till she was blue in the face, refusing to listen to us. Okay, refusing to Google it or even look it up or even consider that maybe she was wrong. She was just like 100% right, okay? And when we showed her on like an actual map that Alaska is American, she didn't even apologize or say, oh my God, I was so wrong. She just turned her head away. She didn't say a word. She didn't admit to being wrong. Okay, so there you go. 2 classic signs of a narcissist. Another sign is that they constantly look at themselves in the mirror and take selfies. Now, this is pretty common in the millennial generation, so take this with a grain of salt. I would say this is like to the point of being extremely excessive, like where they're literally taking like 45 selfies a day, okay? Or they're just like always seeking out a mirror and just like always commenting on how hot they look and oh my God, look at me, and just like, oh wow, how does like my hair look so good today, and just like literally just so obsessed to the point of excess, obsessed to the point of excess with themselves and how they look, and they just literally think they're the hottest thing ever, okay? Like I said, take that with a grain of salt because vanity is very rampant in especially my generation, millennials. Another sign is they have a disregard for people with a lower social status. So because people with lower social statuses can't really benefit them anyway, they're just going to treat them like shit. Basically, they're going to treat them like garbage, which is really sad. And so yeah, if people who are waiters, waitresses, maybe housekeepers, people who are serving them, they are going to treat them really, really badly. They're going to be really rude to them. They're not going to treat them like human beings. They're going to treat them like they're objects, right? It's a really telltale sign of not just a narcissist, but a good person and a genuinely good person, to see how they treat people who they don't see as equals, who they see as below them. So really pay attention, not just to see if they're a narcissist, but to see if they're just a genuine good person in general. See how they treat people beneath them. And the last low-key sign is that a lot of them have a very immature mentality. They have a mentality of a child. When you argue with them, or when you try to reason with them or deal with them, or if you even try to give them constructive criticism, they're gonna just respond to you with a very offended and kind of like butthurt response, like you're attacking them personally or something. They can't take being criticized, and they can't handle someone disagreeing with their opinion. Everything has to be their way, and they literally act like children, okay? They have the emotional development of a child, and they can't emphasize with other people and see that other people feel differently and have different perceptions. They are very unable to understand that. And that is literally the definition of a narcissist, is that they are not capable of being empathetic and stepping into someone else's shoes genuinely. These are some major telltale signs of narcissists. So if you see someone who has absolutely every single one of these signs, most likely they're a full-blown narcissist. You might find someone with some of these and not others, and that means that they're just a little bit narcissistic. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be black or white. There is a gray area when it comes to narcissism. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I have a lot of life advice on this channel. If you want to become a better person and improve your life, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.